The Nintendo Music app has gotten a recent update to now include Mario Kart World, which is funny because Mario Kart World's been out for a year and a half, and the internet's put the soundtrack out about a week and a half after it came out. I decided to check in on the app because when I originally downloaded the app or heard news of the app, I had my theories as to why it exists. About a year and a half to 2 years later, it doesn't seem like any of that mattered. I think the app is a good idea, and I think the UI is clean, but I just don't understand the direction it's trying to go. I mentioned Mario Kart World. They didn't put music for the game at all until recently, but they put like special music from the Star Fox remake already, and they did the same thing with Kirby Air Riders. So they can put music on there if they want, and they can put it in a timely fashion if they want. They just don't. You'll just wake up to a random notification saying something like Yoshi, the soundtrack for the NES and Game Boy version, is now available in the Nintendo Music app. Like anybody was checking for that in the first place. But on top of that, you'll get songs from Kirby Air Riders, and then it'll be another 6 months before the entire soundtrack gets released on there, because you'll get a special selection for a while. Meanwhile, all these other YouTube channels are ripping the music immediately. So there's no benefit to having the app when YouTube is free as well. In fact, YouTube is actually free. In this app, you have to spend money by getting an NSO membership to use it in the first place. And yeah, this is supposed to be a bonus with your NSO membership. At the same time, this is a lot of money going into hosting this music. And now they have a web player as well recently. So being able to make this accessible to a lot of people, like how do you intend to make a return on investment for this stuff? And I don't think that's what they're aiming for, because if they were trying to make some sort of profit for it, they would update this catalog more frequently. There has to be a legitimate strategy as to why they want to have it behind NSO and not have these soundtracks on Spotify or Apple Music where you can get some kind of residual income from people playing it. On top of that, I used to think it was to consolidate this stuff here, drive people towards NSO, and then Nintendo starts copyright striking a lot of these video game channels that are uploading the music, but they really haven't taken any down either. Like no big channels have been taken down since this app has like come out. If this is just like a passion project, like okay, but like you're not even putting passion into the project. Like it's just something to do. And I get that they'll time certain soundtrack releases to when like the game gets released, or in the case of like Mario Galaxy or whatever, re-released. But still, like, why should I have to wait until those are released on NSO or released for purchase to then say, oh, well, I'm going to open up this app now and be able to listen to the music? My honest hot take or theory is that this is just a way to make it so that way your NSO doesn't run out even when you're not playing. Because before, when I had NSO, it would just cancel after like a couple months of like inactivity or whatever, and then I'd have to renew it manually. But now that I have this Nintendo app, it just keeps renewing. This is their way of saying, hey, well, you're still using the service, so we're going to keep charging you. Because I can't think of anything else. There are no ads on this platform. There are no premium features on this platform. I can't see how they're making money off this. And again, I just don't think they are. But why would they do it? It's nice to see newer soundtracks on there from like the Switch too, but aside from that, this is being dominated by like NES, and like nobody wants to hear that chiptune bull. I like the extend music feature, but honestly, a lot of these YouTube channels have like 30 or 15-minute loops of the songs. Now, granted, they may not be perfect, but they exist. And they've existed long before this app has. And if I'm being honest, they've existed long after this app's inception. So what are we looking to do? And I mean, I keep the app on my phone because it's not hurting anything. And then in the rare case we need a freestyle session over Wii Sports, then I'm always ready, I guess. I'm I'm not going to front like they're not off to a good start, but at almost 2 years, I felt like they'd be at a better start. I mean, they got Wave Race 64. That's great. And then they got the DKC trilogy, which 2 and 3 have banger soundtracks. 3 got some stuff, but mainly 1 and 2. In fact, 2's probably the best of the 3. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on where you grew up in the United States. If you grew up in the South, then 2's probably your best. But I don't know. That's another video. Aside from that, like, it is a little bit jarring at first because there's a lot of different playlists they try to throw at you. There's sleep time playlists, there's daytime playlists, there's extended playlists, there's boss battles, there's title themes. There's all kinds of playlists that they create, but it's all kind of like a blur at first because whatever Spotify did to make it more concise or whatever, or at least a bit easier to navigate, they should take notes because they took the whole idea of playlists from Spotify and Apple Music. But for real, it just seems like it's a lot. But seriously, each game has multiple playlists. So there's playlists for playlists. It's like, yo, dog, I heard you like playlists, and they took it to like the extremes. And so when you select the game, you also have to make sure that you look past the top tracks playlist to go to the all tracks so you can see every song on there. Otherwise, you won't get all of the songs, obviously. But there will be some playlists that are for the hard route or the easy route for Star Fox 64, but you still have to dig to make sure you get the correct playlist that plays all of the music. I think they should have all of the music at the forefront and then have playlists for that towards the bottom. They have the latter, but not the former. And to the untrained eye, this is making it seem like it has a ton of content, and this is what the issue was in the beginning. It appeared there was a lot of content there because there were a lot of playlists. They have a rich library of music that they could be going into, especially if you can release the NES version of Yoshi and Game Boy version of Yoshi, then you can say release the the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy versions of like Donkey Kong Country, or of the Game Boy Advance version and the Super Nintendo version of Super Mario World. Like, you can obviously do that. And I think if you're willing to go that far, like, hey, there are some second party developers that you once had that could benefit from that too. Maybe the GoldenEye soundtrack gets on there. I don't know what kind of yellow tape you had to go around or red tape you had to go around for that, but there's plenty they can do. Ironically enough, because of NSO, this is the only quote unquote streaming service that I'm subscribed to currently for music. So, I guess it is working in some aspect, but I'm hoping another year from now it will have improved. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Kofi, Twitch, all that kind of stuff is in the description. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.